Hi, welcome to Vlog Post 5. My name's Rebecca McKernan. I'm a narrator, writer and actress, and this vlog series is to promote the audiobooks that I've had the pleasure of producing. Today I'd like to share with you this wonderful, whimsical story from writer A.E.Radley. It's the tale of two hapless best friends, and it's a comedic crime drama. It's also one of the only books that I've read lately with more adult themes, which actually doesn't include any sexual violence towards women. So yay, go A.E.Radley. And it would definitely pass the Bechdel test. So it's worth a read for so many reasons, but those are just a couple of them. I'm going to read to you the back. Amy is stuck in a rut. After graduating, she never left her temporary job at the motorway service station. Daily visits from a mysterious woman are the highlight of her days, until one day when the mystery woman vanishes. Amy investigates the disappearance and makes a shocking discovery. Suddenly, she's being framed, and no-nonsense Claudia McAllister is being sent to arrest her. Will Amy's unique approach to evading capture prove successful? I'll read you the first couple of pages of the first chapter. I'm not going to get so far in that you hear my somewhat dubious Scottish accent live. That tends to need a bit of editing. You just have to buy the book if you want to hear that. Missing. Amy let out a sigh and leaned back heavily on the plastic chair of the break room. She looked at the two male police officers in front of her and shook her head in despair. She might be dead, you know, she told them. The older officer smirked and looked away, probably to prevent himself from saying anything that would upset her further. Since they had arrived, both had been cocky to say the least. They had spoken down to her, mansplaining the rules on exactly when and how to declare someone as missing. The older guy had stood by the door, presumably eager to get away as soon as possible. He leaned against the wall, his thumbs hooked onto his utility belt as he left most of the conversation to his younger colleague, Officer Raj Patel. I think you are jumping to conclusions based on very little evidence, Raj told her in a soft tone that made Amy want to wring his neck. Why do I pay my taxes? Amy asked. Good one. Never heard that before, the older guy said with a sarcastic laugh. Raj turned around and gave him a look. He turned back to Amy and tried to look reassuring. He obviously hadn't had a lot of practice. Amy wondered if she should suggest he request further compassion training, or any. Look, Raj said, I get that you're worried about your friend. She's not my friend, Amy pointed out, for the third time. She's just a customer. Do you monitor all of your customers so closely? The older officer asked, a smirk firmly planted on his face. Amy turned to look up at him. She comes here to the motorway services every day, every single weekday morning. She arrives at 6:30, has breakfast, we talk, and she leaves by 10 to 7. She's been doing that every day for the last 10 months, until 3 days ago when she didn't show up. Those specific details about your day you kind of remember. Maybe she got a new job, or she's sick of the swill you call coffee. He chuckled at his own joke. Sorry, I didn't catch your name. Amy smiled sweetly. David Rowe. Look, Dave. She drawled his name, ignoring his wince. I don't expect you to understand, but some people interact with other people in a cordial and sociable manner, and they make these things called friends. Thank you, Miss Hewitt, Raj interrupted, in an obvious attempt to keep the peace. And there is nothing wrong with my coffee, Amy added. Tell that to my tongue, David said. No thanks, you're not my type. She returned his smirk with one of her own. Oh, I see. David pushed away from the wall, suddenly more interested in the case. You were sweet on her. Sweet on her? Amy let out a laugh. Who even says that anymore? David pulled a small notebook out of his pocket and detached the pen. He looked over the top of the notepad at her. As he very slowly flipped through the pages, deliberately wasting time. Amy watched him, fighting the urge to roll her eyes at his pathetic behaviour. So, how long have you been in a relationship with her? David asked. Amy glared at him. She bit the inside of her mouth to prevent the reply that was on the tip of her tongue from being let loose. After a few seconds, she took a deep breath. I wasn't in a relationship with her.
But you wanted to be?
No, Amy defended herself. We were just friendly.
Friendly?
David nodded his head, a sarcastic smile on his lips.
So, can you tell us the full name of this friend?
You know I can't. Amy sighed. She folded her arms across her chest and stared at him. He was clearly trying to antagonize her, and she wasn't going to give him the satisfaction.
Date of birth? Place of work? Home address? Telephone number?
David listed in quick succession. Amy looked up at him for a few more seconds before turning her attention to Raj. So, you're not going to help me? Raj sat back in his chair and looked apologetic.
I'm sorry, there isn't a lot we can do. This is a busy motorway service station. People come and people go. This...
Kara, Amy corrected.
Sorry, Kara. She may have moved away from the area. Got a new job like Officer Rose suggested. There's no evidence that there has been a crime committed. Just that someone changed their pattern, which isn't against the law, Miss Hewitt.
This is ridiculous. Amy shook her head and stood up. She pushed the plastic chair back under the table and picked up her apron from the hook on the wall. She hooped the apron over her head and started to tie it around her.
What's ridiculous is that we're not giving you a caution for wasting police time, David told her.
You're banned, Amy said sternly.
What?
He looked baffled. Banned! You! Amy pointed her finger at him. She walked around the table and headed towards the door. I'm not serving you coffee until you fix your attitude. He stared at her.
You can't do that.
I can. I just did. And you called my coffee swill, so presumably you'll be glad to not have to drink it anymore. Banned! She opened the door and stormed into the corridor without a look back. She angrily strode through the staff-only areas of the motorway service station. She was thankful that she was away from the general public and able to have some small respite from the crowds. She needed some time alone to process what was happening. The police clearly didn't think it was an important matter, but it was. A woman was missing. Amy knew that Kara would have told her if she wouldn't be coming back. She had even said that she would see her on Monday morning, as she always did on Fridays. Nothing about her last visit indicated in any way that it would be her last. Something must have happened to her. Women like her didn't just vanish into nowhere. Kara was beautiful in an exotic way that Amy had just read about in books. People like that didn't just disappear. Amy sighed. She had not wanted to give any indication that she had a crush on Kara. She knew that doing so would give the police something to laugh about and ensure they didn't take her seriously. She hadn't been able to keep that particular piece of information to herself. She wondered how obvious her feelings were for David to have caught on so quickly. Despite her crush, nothing had ever happened. Every morning she would anxiously await Kara's arrival. The tall Spanish woman would stroll into the services, hair and outfit perfect despite the early hour. She would approach Tom's cafe in the corner of the services, where Amy would be standing behind the counter, smiling and hoping her hair was behaving for once. Kara would order breakfast. Everything was precise. Muesli on Mondays and Wednesdays, wholemeal toast on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and a chocolate croissant on Fridays. She always sat at the same table as she waited for Amy to bring the order. When Amy brought the food, Kara would invite her to sit down. They'd talk about nothing in particular, never anything personal. Amy couldn't be sure, but it always seemed like Kara was flirting with her. At least Amy hoped she was. She was certainly flirting with Kara, or doing her best to. So that was the first couple of pages of Huntress from A.E.Radley. I've just realised I didn't tell you the title at the start of this vlog. Huntress by A.E.Radley. It's a really lovely story, and you can find it at Audible, Amazon and iTunes. Thanks for listening and watching. Presumably you've done both, maybe not, doesn't really matter. You can find me on www.RebeccaMcKernan.com or on Facebook and Twitter at Becca Tells Tales. Enjoy your day!